The investment fact of the week.
I love this one. Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Sullivan predicts that white-collar work will be fully automated by AI within 18 months. It reminds me of the conversation that we were having when we left NVIDIA. Sometimes when I may say something, it may come off as salacious, but I think if Microsoft CEO is saying it, Ken Griffin of Citadel said he was shocked at how well, even in the finance space, how well the AI is doing. I think we have to have some really tough conversations about what to do to be able to sustain yourself once we get through that 18 to 24 month period, because it's going to be pure chaos. Meta is reportedly going to let off 7,000 jobs. Kudos to everyone at HQ or any offices around the world. Everyone who keeps saying, well, no, it won't affect my industry. The people that they're inside of the biggest companies on earth, they are terrified. So the investment fact of the week is, it may not be 2 years, it'll probably be 18 months, according to the Microsoft CEO. Get prepared, get your tickets to InvestFest, and start to build systems, processes, and agents that can automate the work for you that will allow you to get 3 or 4 years of revenue into the business inside of 18 months.
If we wind up in a world where the technology companies are getting richer and richer and richer, and the people who own them are getting richer and richer and richer, but the people who used to be the doctors and the lawyers and the professors and the teachers and the psychiatrists are all getting poorer because they're no longer needed, and they get a bunch of pink slips, you don't just have mass unemployment, you have mass humiliation. You have people who used to matter and now don't. They used to have a high salary, now they have no salary. They used to have high status, now they are ashamed. When you have tens of millions of people who are experiencing humiliation, you have a problem. I've got a chance to work in some of the toughest prisons in the United States. When somebody has nothing and then you humiliate them, they become the most dangerous person in that prison.
So much of white collar is supposedly supposed to disappear within 18 months. 18 months from this month, and we're currently at the end of May right now. A good question would be, has anybody thought this far in advance yet? Has any of the corporations thought this far in advance? Has any of the governments thought this far in advance? What could this possibly do to the world economy? What could this possibly do to the American economy? And I think some of you may already know the answer to that, and I may know the answer to that as well. Just like the guy said in the video, what happens when you get a bunch of people who have no purpose anymore? What happens when you get a bunch of people who used to be something in life, who used to be attorneys, who used to be doctors, who used to have meaning in life? They were saving people's lives, they were teaching people, they were helping the youth, or just anything that gave them purpose. What happens when you take that purpose away from men and women? Well, you get the Wild Wild West. And unfortunately, that's exactly where we're headed, ladies and gentlemen. We're headed towards the Wild Wild West. I believe we're already there, but at the same time, I believe that we have not seen what is to come. And we can already see it in the daily news, right? You have so many people just losing their shit. Whether that's a school shooting, whether that's a church shooting, a mosque shooting, a mall shooting, just a everyday shooting. People are crashing out. People are getting into road rage incidents. You can see this on an everyday basis. This is just the beginning. I want to tell y'all, make this very clear. This is only the beginning of what I would probably call the crash out season. This is only the beginning. We have yet to see how AI really impacts the larger society, the greater society. We haven't seen anything yet. And it's going to be interesting, to say the least. And maybe I'm minimizing it to an extent, but it'll definitely be interesting. to see how us as Americans and how us as human beings overcome this. But what I've said before in the past video is governments are way behind, okay? Laws cannot keep up with how fast AI is moving. Laws cannot keep up with how fast people are getting laid off. Laws just cannot keep up. And they're taking advantage of that, right? These technology companies, AI, the tech lords, as I like to call them, the tech oligarchs, they know that the governments cannot keep up. So they're going to keep doing what they do anyway, right? This is the Wild Wild West. When there's no laws, people do what they want to do. And that's exactly what is happening right now. All the floodgates are being removed. All floodgates are being removed. And they are essentially telling you that you're on your own, right? You're on your own. White collar is up next. And then after that, they're going to move on to blue collar, whether you like it or not. They already have self-driving trucks, right? They already have trucks that can, go to full 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles. They already have the technology behind it. They're just waiting on the green light. And I'm not talking about the green light from the government. They already have the robotics. They already have the chips to operate the robotics. If you guys still think that this is just some fantasy that is going to happen in far, far away land, you're behind, okay? You're probably just as behind as the government. And unfortunately, many people are, right? They're probably even more behind than the government itself. But what happens when you get a bunch of desperate people? What happens when you get a bunch of hungry people? What have I been saying over these past 2+ years that I've been on YouTube, right? I've been telling people, homelessness is going to increase. Drug use is going to be sky high. Crime is going to go sky high. We are just now seeing the beginning of it. We're going to see this on such a massive scale. And listen, the world already experiences this first and foremost, right? Now, I'm not saying that, somewhere else in the world is all peaches and cream. No, other countries in the world, they struggle with, mass crime, terrorism, just all kinds of things, right? The world has already experienced this. I believe it's going to hit America specifically as hard as it's going to hit because we've been in this safety bubble for so long. We've been in this fairy tale bubble, of safety, of we're better than everybody else, or nothing can happen to us. We've lived in this fantasy land, Disney World for so long, and it's going to hit us incredibly hard. People are not going to be ready for it because the programming was, of course, to go to school, get a degree in whatever, essentially, because that's what people have been doing in the first place. Go to school and get a degree in whatever, right? And then go and get you a good career and somewhere where you can have a nice 401k, right? And then retire, right? That's the programming that we have been led down for the past, since before I was born. Hell, and maybe it mattered before I was born. I guess it worked for a specific generation, but that does not work anymore. Clearly, it does not work anymore. And the rules have changed. The rules have clearly changed. And you have to get down with the get down. There's a lot of people, crying about, well, what the jobs, what about the jobs? Who's going to pay for this and who's going to pay for that? Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out. But as of right now goes, that should be the least of your worries right now. right? That should be the least of your worries. What consumer is going to pay for what? And that's so crazy. That's one of the first things that people think about, right? They think about, well, if no one has the jobs, who's going to pay for everything? We're so we're so stuck in this consumer mindset, right? We're so stuck in this consumer mindset. One of the very first thoughts that we have is, who's going to pay for what? I mean, such a sick mindset. And what is America without its consumerism? I want you to ask yourself that. Who are Americans without consumerism? Largely, our identity is made up of just buying junk, right? Sipping my coffee. Largely, our identity is made up of just buying stuff. And when Americans can't buy their Starbucks, when Americans can't go out to eat, when Americans, are losing their jobs left and right, when Americans can no longer use their career status, oh, I'm the supervisor of such and such. I'm the manager of such and such. I am the so-and-so server of such and such, right? These titles that we've gotten used to, right? They mean nothing anymore. And they will mean nothing in the coming future. And I would venture to say it's a good thing. Some of you may not like it, but I view this as a good thing. Not because I'm happy people will be losing their jobs, not because I'm happy that the destruction and about the destruction and the chaos I know this is going to bring. Not that I'm happy about that, but I think people need to get over themselves. I think people need to find more purpose and more meaning in life than just going to work and going to just clocking in and going home and the job, taking all of your energy, right? And it's so funny because we're such hypocrites, right? We're such hypocrites. Many people are the same people who are complaining about the job disappearing would be the same people who are complaining about their whole lives being taken by the same 9-to-5s that are disappearing. So pick a lane. Which one is it? Do you want the 9-to-5 or you don't? Do you want the job or you don't? Is it draining your life or you don't? But the real psychology behind it is people don't know anything else, right? People don't know anything else. They don't know what it is to operate outside of a clear social program, right? And we've all been socially programmed into believing that this is life. Wake up in the morning, go to work, or whatever your shift is, right? Wake up in the morning, go to work, clock in, clock out, right? Eat lunch, eat dinner, or make dinner for the kids. Go pick up the kids and, take them to school, then pick them up from school, go to your little activities, maybe buy a house, maybe buy a dog. I mean, such a meaningless existence, man. And to think that you have some people who continue to preach to do this for 20 plus years. Like, as long as I've been working a job, I've always been disgusted. I'm not going to lie to you. The whole entire time that I've worked jobs, I've always been disgusted, right? I've always thought that, there was much more meaning to life. I could not fathom the thought of having to clock into this place and clock out of this place for them to take all of my time. I mean, all of it. And for me to only be left with whatever time I have left after work to do things that mean something to me. right? I couldn't fathom that. And I still can't fathom it, right? Which is the reason why I'm doing everything that I possibly can on the entrepreneur side of things. Because I can never imagine my life or working for someone else for the entirety of my life. I want y'all to understand that. You only get one life, right? You literally only get one life. And imagine having to spend that entire life. Imagine having to spend that entire life working for somebody, right? Clocking in and clocking out. You never being able to spend time with your family to the fullest extent. You never being able to travel to the extent that you would like. Imagine doing imagine just a job just soaking up just your whole soul, gone. And then you're 55, right? You're 60, you're 65, and now it's time to retire, right? Now it's time to retire. Now it's time to travel, right? Now it's time to do the things that you always wanted to do. Why start there, right? And now that I'm 30, right? I just turned 30 in April. Now that I'm 30, a lot of things are coming to perspective for me, right? A lot of things, that mattered don't matter anymore. And the things that I thought that didn't matter, now it's, very important to me now. And I guess that's just a part of growing up. That's a part of just, I guess, the human experience, just being able to think on certain things and come to a realization about certain things. But all in all, it's up to you at the end of the day. It's up to you what you hold dear to your heart. If you hold these bullshit ass jobs dear to heart, shouts out to you. But I'm not one of them, okay? However, I understand the possible scenarios that comes with this. Everybody doesn't think like me, right? Everybody doesn't think like you. And I understand that people's whole identity is tied to these jobs, just like the guy said in the video. People's whole identities are tied to these jobs. And when you take that away, you get chaos. When you take that away, people try to find identity elsewhere, right? They try to find identity in the streets. They try to find identity in crime. They try to find identity in the bottle, in drugs, right? Everybody, quite frankly, is not strong enough to handle this collapse, because that's essentially what it's going to be. It is going to be a collapse of epic proportion. And you heard it here first. It's going to be a collapse of epic proportion, especially in America. With just everything that's going on, you can just tell. You can see it in people's faces. You can see it in people's eyes, right? A lot of people already have no meaning. Hell, many of the people with titles already, they already look soulless. They already look like they have no purpose, right? So, listen, man. All I can tell you is just prepare for the inevitable. There's no stopping it. And quite frankly, we don't even know if it's a good thing or a bad thing yet. Because maybe AI would be a good thing for all of humanity. Maybe it actually turns out to be a good thing. Maybe it'll turn out to be a horrible thing and the end of civilization as we know it. All we can do is see. And all we can do is maneuver, and all we can do is pivot, at the angle, whichever angle that comes at us. So I'm just delivering a message. I'm just delivering my opinion on things, and I'm just a messenger. However, I do believe that there's a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion that we have never seen before that is going to be downloaded into our society, right? So the purpose of this video is to let you know that yes, there's going to be a lot of people running around here with no purpose. There's going to be an increase in crime. There's going to be an increase in homelessness, right? There's going to be an increase and black market activities. And all you need to do is be prepared for it. All you need to do is be aware of it and make sure that you're positioning yourself and your family in position to overcome this and override this. And if you want to learn exactly how to do that, hit that link in the description. Come and join the Patreon. Come and join like-minded individuals who are creating their own sovereignty through AI, website creation, and entrepreneurship, right? If you want to learn how to leverage your American citizenship, you want to learn how to leverage the American USD, come over and join the inner circle if you want to take it a step further. But you can only get through it through the Patreon, and you can only get through it with that link in the description. So hit that link in the description, come and join the family, and I'll see you guys over there. Listen, the after pill is the ideology, the escape blueprint is the framework, and PFP life is how you should live, in purpose, in freedom, and in power. I'll see you guys over there. Peace.
I built a life. I built a family. I worked my hands raw to get here, and I'm not done. This is the escape blueprint, PFP life, a way out of the grind and into control. You'll learn how I stack cash, build systems, and reclaim time so you can live on your own terms. You will watch me maneuver and grind towards the life that I achieve for myself, and you can also do the same. Join the circle, join the Patreon, learn the steps, and protect your freedom. The escape blueprint, PFP life.